What's up guys, welcome to my final video before the match starts at 8. I thought for this one I was just going to run through some more Rate My Team questions and just give my responses to some general advice. I really enjoy doing these types of videos, so if you find them useful, just let me know and I'll carry on doing them. But yeah, so I thought I'd just get stuck into the comments on Reddit. Okay, so first one is a question: is Robertson a viable option? That's an interesting one. I think Scotland are an interesting team. I think if you're going to pick a defender, Robertson's definitely a good option. He's likely to get an assist. So if Scotland do keep a clean sheet, it's a double return because he's also likely to get an assist. So if I was to go for an option from Scotland in defence, I would pick him. He is a little bit expensive on 5.5 million, but if he does get an assist and a clean sheet, it definitely justifies his value. So I guess the only question is, do you think he will get a clean sheet against Czech Republic? I think the odds are difficult for that one. I think it's a very, very 50-50 prediction. But I do think he's a viable option, so yeah, I would say he's a viable option. Rate My Team, Donnarumma, Finnish goalkeeper. Yeah, I've covered a lot of these picks in my previous Rate My Team, but ones that stand out, which I do like, would be Denayer. I think he's a really good pick. Eriksen and Insigne, they're both really good picks, as well as Lukaku and Depay. The only one that stands out, which I don't like, is probably Arnautovic. I think that Austria's forward, I don't know his exact name, but usually Arnautovic plays in that striker position. If he's not playing, I don't think he's worth the money. I think there's probably better options. So yeah, that's the only pick I don't really like is Arnautovic, and maybe also Wijnal from Netherlands. I don't think they're going to keep a clean sheet, so perhaps maybe look elsewhere. Next one. Hey guys, final question before Matchday 1. Absolutely hyped for it and good luck to all. Yeah, I'm hyped for it as well. Which trio would you pick? Thanks. Ronaldo plus Berardi if he starts, plus Nego. Insigne, Elmas, and that's the Austrian forward I was talking about. So I think, I don't know how to pronounce it, maybe Kalajic. But I think from looking at that, the more well-rounded one looks like option 2. Yeah, I think going from that just straight off, I'd go for option 2. I think it's just more well-rounded. Ronaldo or Lewandowski, Malinowski or Zielinski, or Carrasco or Eriksen if Italian defender is replaced with a Danish double-up. We'll go for Ronaldo versus Lewandowski. That's a tough one. I'm not massively favourable to either. I'd probably go Ronaldo. I just think he's yeah, you can never doubt Ronaldo, so I'd go Ronaldo over Lewandowski, and they're pretty similarly priced. I think there's only 0.5 million between them. Malinowski or Zielinski. Malinowski, I think he was on set pieces, but I've seen somewhere that he may no longer be on penalties, which I think is a big loss. I also fancy that Ukraine will get goals from elsewhere, from Yaremchuk or Yarmolenko. So Zielinski, I don't know too much about. I know he's plays for Poland, 7 million midfielder. I'd prefer him over Malinowski because I think there aren't other options for Poland, whereas there are other options here for Ukraine. Carrasco's a really good option if he starts. Only 7 million, but it's just a case of whether he starts or not. So I would go for Zielinski out of those three, then Carrasco, then Malinowski. Eriksen, if Italian defender is placed for Danish double-up. Yeah, I could see that being a decent move. I would prefer to avoid double-ups. They can pay off, but it's just a bit more risky. But yeah, I would probably go with Zielinski out of those 4. Okay, so Kane, Lukaku, Depay, Carrasco, Alaba, Berardi, Torres, Jota, Miley, Kier, Denayer, Wijnal, Pau Torres, Donnarumma, Backman, captaincy moving from... Okay, it's good that you've got your captaincy figured out. I think that's really important in fantasy football. The captaincy plays such a big part. It can turn a bad week into a decent week and a good week into a great week. So captaincy is really important. I would definitely keep those availability in captaincy options. I think pretty much your whole team is fine. I'd maybe just reassess Alaba depending on where he plays. I've seen a few different positions that he's played in. He's played in left wing, left mid, and defensive mid. So depends where he plays. I think he is on some set pieces, but I just don't fancy Osher to get that many goals. So I would avoid him. Danish double up could be interesting. It's still risky, but could be interesting. Other than that, I think pretty much the rest of the team's really good. They've all got pretty good fixtures and play for what seems to be the star guys in their individual positions. So I think that's a good team. Isn't Eriksen way too expensive? 9 million feels very steep given his form and position. I would definitely agree with it on form. Position, I would probably disagree with because he's playing in his favourite position of number 10. I know it shows him in most lineups as playing in a 4-3-3, as playing with a third midfielder, but he does tend to go more in the hole and play as number 10. He hasn't been in the best forms. I do think you are right in that sense, is that Ninefield does feel quite expensive. But I think it's just the added benefit of being on penalties as a midfielder and him being the star guy. I think it is slightly expensive. I would probably say he's maybe 0.5 million or 1 million overvalued. But at the same time, there aren't too many options in midfield. So I do think because of that, I wouldn't say he's too expensive. Okay, Bonucci, Kassir and Bachmann, or Blind, Donnarumma and the Finnish goalkeeper. Just definitely the option A. Like, I don't really like Blind as an option. I don't really like the Finnish goalkeeper. That leaves Donnarumma, and that's not enough to be a one-man army. So Bonucci, Kassir and Bachmann's much more well-rounded. Why do some people seem so confident in Pau Torres starting for Spain? Him and Laporte are both left-footed and Eric Garcia is available. That's an interesting point, actually. I didn't actually know that about them both being left-footed. I guess it's because he's been the star player for Valencia. I think he plays for Valencia. That's right. But whoever he plays for in La Liga, he's been their star guy. So I think that's why he's so people are so confident in starting, because he's in good form. I know Eric Garcia is a good defender, but he's not really played much for Man City. So I guess that's why people will be going for Torres. It could, yeah. I mean, Eric Garcia could start instead of him, but I don't think it's too likely. I think that Luis Enrique will probably go for Torres, but if not, it's only 4.5 million, so it's not the end of the world. Rate my team. Schmeichel, yeah, that's a really good pick. Finnish goalkeeper, not a fan. Spinazzola, that's a good pick. Miley, good pick. Which now I've said my thoughts on him. Bednarak, I think that's a decent pick, although I have seen in Poland's most recent lineups, I've not been seeing him start, but he is in the squad, which is really odd. So I'd just be wary of that. And then I'm assuming that's Pau Torres, which we have just spoke about in the most recent comment. Eriksen, Torres, Berardi, Alba, Sucic. I think all of them are pretty decent picks apart from Alaba. And obviously just keep an eye out for Berardi and for the lineup for Italy. Lewandowski, Lukaku, Depay. I don't massively like Lewandowski as a pick. I think he's slightly overpriced. He doesn't seem to turn up for Poland in big tournaments. I would go for someone else. Maybe Mbappe or Griezmann. And we've got a response here. Don't go Schmeichel and Finnish goalkeeper because they play on the same days. That's a very good point. You don't want to go for them both because they're going to be playing against each other. You get to substitute in your goalkeeper. So, yeah, I'd pick someone else instead of the Finnish goalkeeper. Quick question, can you change formation with your manual substitutes during a match day? E.g., can I sub in a striker for a defender on day 2 of the first match day? Yes, I think you can. The formation doesn't really matter that much. It's basically just whichever formation you start with and whichever substitutes you got on the bench, you'll be able to sub them in after each day of the match day is finished. So for the first day, Turkey versus Italy, you'll be able to sub out Italy players or Turkish players for whoever you got on your bench. So that will obviously affect the formation. So it's pretty much, you can change the formation, but you change it with the substitutes. I can't pronounce that name. Swiatek, nailed for Poland. I have no idea, to be honest. I have no idea who that is, but I just want to quickly Google him then, but I just, yeah, I have no idea, to be honest. If you're not sure, go for someone who you think is nailed. Not worth the risk. Kane, Lukaku, Depay, Mount, Jorginho, captain. Jorginho, captain, okay. Jota, Florenzi, Torres, Denia, Donnarumma. Subs, decent subs. Be wary of James. I'm assuming that's Reece James. There's quite a bit of competition for the right back spot. Trippier, Walker. Yeah, that's a difficult spot to predict. So I would be very cautious of James. There is John Stones and potentially Ben White. Be cautious of him as well. But if he does start, 4 million is a really good option for an England defender. Other than that, I think the rest of your team's pretty good. I can understand Jorginho as a captain now because obviously he's going to be your first captain anyway because you can change him, so you may as well put him down if you've got an Italy player. Llorente, I'm assuming I think it's Marcus Llorente, the guy that plays right back for Spain. I think that's actually an interesting option because he can get assists and there's not loads of options at 5 million for midfielders, so I think that's a good option as well. Alba, I've said my thoughts on him. I feel this like with this team, but I have an extra 3.5 million to spend, so would like advice. Goalkeeper, Schmeichel. Okay, so 3.5 million. Let's just quickly have a scan over this one. Are there any obvious improvements we could make? I would say... Oh, well, hang on a second. I can't actually see your substitutes for your midfield. I'm assuming they must be pretty low priced. I can't really rate it or where you can improve unless I can see the substitutes, but I would invest in those because it makes a difference to be able to have good subs. I think that's the case. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 5. Oh no, maybe no, sorry, ignore me. No, that's right. I can't see your substitutes. Yeah, because you should have 2 more midfielders there. Yeah, so whoever those 2 midfielders are, I would upgrade those. Okay. Best midfield option under 7 million. Don't want Mount as I already have Kane. Under 7 million. Okay, I've done a few for this in my midfielder video, but just off the top of my head, I would say Elmas springs to mind. You know what, let's have a quick look. I can't do it off the top of my head. Berardi, Tielemans, Sucic, potentially Jorginho, Carrasco, Barella, all good options. Malovski I'd keep an eye on. Zielinski's a good option. Maybe Shaqiri, maybe. And Olmo's a really good option. Will get assists, probably more likely to get assists than goals. I've seen Dan James in a few teams as well, so it could be him. Yeah, I think there's quite a few different options that just, yeah, it's going to be difficult to predict it from the go because the midfielder spot's so unpredictable. Okay, so is this anything I should change? Okay, let's see if there's any that stand out. Okay, I think Yilmaz stands out and the Finnish goalkeeper stands out. Other than that, I think it's actually an okay team. I would maybe just switch Yilmaz for someone else. I don't think that Turkey will get that many goals against Italy. And I don't fancy him to carry on his form, to be honest. Finnish goalkeeper, there's no point in having a goalkeeper that you can't be confident they're going to get a clean sheet. Because what happens if Donnarumma doesn't keep a clean sheet? You're relying on Finland, who are just not that likely. So I would go for someone else. Maybe Simon from Spain. That would give you a bit of coverage. Although you have got Pau Torres, so maybe not them. Maybe Pickford or who else is there? Yeah, I would choose someone else. Maybe even Lloris to give you some coverage from different teams. Thoughts on Schick? I think he's the Polish defender. I think he's 5 or 5.5, but yeah, I don't see that many good options for Poland. I did think Bednarek was a good option, but because I've not seen him start in recent games, I'm a bit doubtful for him. But if I was to go for a Polish goalkeeper or defender, I'd just go for Szczesny. Seems like the cheapest option, and and is nailed on. Okay. Let's Ronaldo or Mbappe. I've already have Jota and I have no Frenchman. Would it be smart to get in Mbappe? And what other French assets would you recommend? I don't feel safe going into the Euros without a French player, to be honest. On the other hand, CR7 is obviously CR7, but I already have Jota. If Portugal flop the group stages, then I'm fucked. So should I get Ronaldo or Mbappe? French midfielders who are around Josh's price. The only French midfielder I can think of is Pogba and maybe Coman. But Coman's not set to start, and Pogba is he plays a bit more of a defensive role for France, but he can pop up with an assist or goal. I would go for Mbappe over Ronaldo because of what you've already said. There's options in midfield for Portugal. There's not that many options for midfield for France. You don't even have to go for Mbappe. You could go for Griezmann or maybe even Giroud. I think Benzema has been injured, and Giroud's pretty well priced. I think he's 8 million, and he can play well for France. He seems to turn up for France. So personally, I've gone for Mbappe, and I would prioritise Mbappe and Griezmann over Giroud. But if you want a budget option, I would go for Giroud. Ronaldo Matchday 1 and Mbappe Matchday 2. Okay. Let's have a look. Who else is there? Rate my team, open to suggestions. Only decided to do it last minute. Not had a chance to do much homework other than look at expected first lineups. Okay. Any standout players? Gnabry, Sabitzer, Sudakov. I'm not too sure who Sudakov is. Let's have a look. Plays for Ukraine, 4 million. Oh, that's an interesting pick. If he starts, 4 million is a good budget option, alternative to Nego. Gnabry, I know, is quite a popular pick for Germany. He's quite expensive, 9.5. But I'd personally avoid Germany, especially against France. Sabitzer is placed for Austria. I think he's their kind of like number 10 or their creative hub. It couldn't hurt to have him. I think, if Austria do score, he might be involved, so it could be a decent pick. Let's see how expensive he is. I don't actually know. 8 million, so he's not cheap, but yeah, I think there's probably better options for 8 million, but I mean, it's not a bad pick. Moreno, I think Moreno's a really good option if he starts. That's the thing, though. He's got competition with Morata, but I really like Moreno as a pick if he does start. 6.5 million, and apparently he's been in really good form, so I would love for him to start, but yeah. The other one that stands out is Meunier. He's got competition with Castagna, so I would just go for maybe Alioski or a different 4.5, maybe Pau Torres, because I don't trust Meunier. Also for Diaz, I love Diaz as a pick, but should be aware that Cancelo will probably get you more attacking returns, and will also, if they keep a clean sheet, they're on level ground there. So there's also Nuno Mendes, who's 4.5 million, who is not as attacking as Cancelo, but he's much cheaper. Krul is a conflict not nailed. Yeah, he's got competition with Stekelenburg. Yeah, okay. I think I'm just going to do a few more, and then we'll call it a day there. Let's have a look at this one. Rate my team. I have 1 million in the bank. Ward. Oh, I would not go for Ward. Wales is a strange option to go with. Although I don't know if he starts. I mean, I don't know if that's how expensive it is. Let's see. Ward. 4.5. That's a good price. If he starts, well, for Switzerland, I could see them keep cheating against Switzerland. They're not that prolific in front of goal, Switzerland, but I just think there's better options. There's better options in goalkeeping spots, so I would go for something a bit more certain. Okay, so we've got Hinteregger, that sticks out. I'm not a big fan of Austrian defence. Maybe go with Alioski or potentially, like I said, Nuno Mendes is 4.5 as well. Also, if Ben White starts for England, that's 4 million. That's a really good pick. It's just whether it will start over Mings. Jota, interesting pick. I've kind of leaned a bit more towards Portugal for scoring goals against Hungary, but I would still be cautious on that. Insigne's a good pick. I think he's very likely to get something if Italy score. Alaba, not a big fan of Alaba. Ericsson, Ericsson's a tough one. He is quite expensive, but he is a star player, so you never know. Yazici, I do like Yazici as a pick. It's just a shame that he's got a first fixture against Italy, which is really tough. Lukaku, Depay, Morata. Really like Lukaku and Depay. Morata is an interesting one. I do think he's got a good chance of scoring, but 9 million is a good price. It's a good price. So, you know what? Actually, I would say Morata is a good pick. He's got a good chance of scoring if Spain do score. Okay, I think one more and then we'll call it there. Dawson Tielemans. I like Tielemans as a pick. He was my number 10 in my midfielders for Matchday 1. Yes, we'll just do this final one. Finnish goalkeepers: Simon, Spinazzola, Alioski, Miley, Denia, Cancelo. I really like that back five. I think it's a really good back five. Simon's a good pick. Don't like the Finnish goalkeeper. I'd maybe go for a 4.5 or another 5 million goalkeeper. Mount, good pick. Insigne, good pick. Brady, the double up. I'm not too sure on the double up. I would go for a different 6 million if I was you. Farron's a good pick. Jota's a decent pick. Lukaku, Depay, Yaremchuk. Yaremchuk's an interesting one. 7 million is not a bad budget forward. I think he's definitely on the top of the list for budget forwards. Are you gone with Mount? Are you asking the question Mount / Yaremchuk or Malinovsky / Arnautovic? Definitely Mount / Yaremchuk. I don't like Malinovsky and Arnautovic's picks too much. Should I downgrade Alioski to Ristovski and upgrade Simon to Donnarumma and change Spinazzola to another 5.5? No. I don't think it's worth doing that. I don't think there's much value in upgrading Simon to Donnarumma. And Alioski's on penalties, Ristovski's not, so I don't think there's too much value there. So yeah, I wouldn't do that. Okay, well that's going to be the end of the video for today. I'm really excited for the Euros to start. I've spent so much time researching it, and in fantasy football fashion, they will probably all end up being bad picks in the end, but we'll see. That's part of the excitement. So I'm looking forward to the first match tonight, and I'm looking forward to reviewing my picks as well. So so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. Let me know your feedback, and take care.